Right. Good afternoon, everybody. What about that then, eh? As you can see, it's me and myself and I with you to begin with this evening for this post-match review. I'm hoping one or two of the team will drop in and join me as we progress. Yeah, still trying to take stock of what we've seen this afternoon. For those of you who haven't seen the result, and there's probably not a single one of you out there, but just in case, the final score from St James Park was Newcastle United 2, West Ham United 4. The Hammers behind twice, forced to come from behind on two separate occasions, and eventually winning the game with 3 goals in the space of just 13 minutes as they blitzed our hosts. As I said, with a trio of goals. We're hoping that Gnome is going to be joining us very shortly, live and direct from Newcastle. He's been in the up in the gods in the away end at St James's Park there this afternoon. And as I speak, actually, I see Gnome joining us right now. So we'll get him on very shortly. But it's been a fantastic start to the Premier League for West Ham United and David Moyes' side. And someone who's going to tell us all about it right now is with us outside St James's Park. Gnome, how you doing, buddy?
That's better. I think I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Have you got me? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. How's lovely Newcastle today?
It's an interesting place today, has to be said. Yeah, I've just been chatting to Geordie, who lives on Canby Island, actually, of all places. And it was less than chuffed, shall we say, at that defensive masterclass that we saw from both sides today.
Yeah. Can I just ask, actually, is there a busker beside you or something?
There is, yeah. I'll go over by Gray's Monument.
You're in the town. You're in the town centre now, are you?
I'm in the city centre. So
yeah, I recognise the colour of the buildings. I don't know if FedEx is still there, but that's always a quiet place.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a remarkable. I see the statue there. Remarkable stuff. West Ham twice behind in the first half. We went into the half-time break, sort of rather concerned about what we'd seen defensively, and then a 30-minute blitz in the second half. Let's go back to half-time. Those 2 early goals. Let's start with the first one. He does it to us every time, Callum Wilson. And what did you make of the first goal?
We should have done something with Maximin, Maximan, however you pronounce it. He was given weeks to sort of play around with it. Once you see that up, we thought it's going to be on the end of it. So,
it was a funny one, wasn't it? Because Cresswell sort of had a poor touch initially, lost the ball, and then Maximan sort of danced around Declan Rice. Did you think that Rice really should have had some support there from Fornals or Cresswell to help him out?
Yeah, I think Declan himself probably should have done a little bit better with it. He stood back. I mean, you've seen it more times than I, obviously. But he stood back about a yard from him. Gave him carte blanche to do what he wanted with it. So, the road street. I should come up the road, by the way. They do firewalking. You can go and do firewalking.
Firewalking?
Yes, they've got a whole lot. They've got the streets cordoned off and hot coals, and you can go and firewalk and they give you a t-shirt. So I think
nice.
Might be wanting to suggest Steve Bruce with that.
I was going to say they might put 1 or 2 of their defenders on there as well. The ball, of course, came across, and we think it was Craig Dawson who was beaten to the ball. And he had a bit of a poor first half, didn't he? All in all, Dawson didn't really sort of get to grips with it.
The problem was that, as I say, when they got to Maximan on the ball, we didn't have any real answer to it. One or two were sort of saying, well, we should take a tactical foul here somewhere along the line. But we weren't getting close enough. We were giving Newcastle too much space and respect. And then it looks about the equaliser.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, we were only behind for 13 minutes. Aaron Cresswell,
Seems
it
a lot
was. It was
longer.
I can imagine. Aaron Cresswell was credited with the goal. It of course, was initially ruled out for offside. I think
Yeah.
from what we could gather, the linesman felt that Jared Bowen got a touch before the ball went over the line. But even if he did, the ball was over the line before he did. And VAR, our old friend, doing us a favour.
Well, I mean that was my thought. Obviously, we're sort of celebrating like idiots as you do, and then of course you see everybody hanging around and picking out VAR. But the longer it went on, I thought well, the more likely it is to be a goal because otherwise you just turn around to the side, which is second. And it's been credited about 3 different times. I mean, I thought it was Cresswell that put the ball in. At various stages, they put up on the scoreboard on the electronic thing, it was Bowen. Yeah. And then somebody said, "Oh, the BBC didn't." And in the end, I think it liked it on Cresswell. That was my thought. Was that when I saw obviously we're way up the other end, and I mean, I thought for a second for a crowd of players, it might have even been an own goal back there, but. When I saw the replay, my thought was that's going down to whether or not it crossed the line before anyone got touched.
Yeah. It's. I think also Sky Sports at one point also thought it was Souček who had scored. So I think we had everyone who was in the box at the time being credited with the goal.
I was the only one in the ground not credited. Yeah.
Anyway, we thought we were back in the game, and it was all fairly even for the next 20 minutes. West Ham probably had the lion's share of possession, and then of course Newcastle took the lead again. Murphy it was who scored the second goal. Was that at your end, or were you at the other end of the field?
That was about our end. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if it's supposed to be on Murphy, but it was completely unmarked. I mean, I've seen it the once. I didn't bother looking at the replay. I think because where the screen is at Newcastle, it's kind of from the away end. It's kind of not in your direct eyesight. It's up there, and you wouldn't. Otherwise, you remembering it's there. So, I don't know if it's supposed to be Martin Murphy, but they weren't, and. I mean, that was talk at half time about how rubbish we were defensively, which we were. I mean, a lot of people saying they'd have taken the draw at half time. I guess you would like stop playing that well defensively.
Yeah,
second half was different.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's only took 8 minutes after the restart and we were level. It was Said Benrahma scoring apparently his first ever headed goal.
Right, yeah. I mean, he's not the tallest, is he? I mean, it's not that surprising, is it? But, I thought, because Antonio got the touch in the box, I thought Antonio's first touch was let him down a little bit.
Yeah, well, it looked like it was going to run out of play, didn't it, initially?
Yeah. And, his first touch, here we go. But now he got the cross in, and again, Benrahma was probably about as marked as Murphy had been. Earlier on, so felt pleased for the lad because I think we played well, Benrahma today.
He was magnificent, wasn't he? Had a really, I think probably, there was lots of decent halves, like Declan Rice, for example, was magnificent in the second half, but sort of a bit off the boil. Took him a while to get into it, but I think it's fair to say that Said was exceptional throughout the game and really carried on from where he'd been in pre-season.
As I say, he just looked sharp. He looked confident. I think maybe that was a thing with him from last season. It's just, your first season, you're sort of still finding your way a little bit, and things weren't coming off for him, and a few wrong decisions on his part. But today, I don't think he wasted the ball really. And when he tried things at the right time, even if it didn't come off, it was at the right time where it wasn't going to cost us. To do so. So we had a fine game.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. I thought it was magnificent. 10 minutes later, we're ahead for the first time in an incredible game, really. And Thomas Souček, it was scoring this one. But again, how many penalties is that we've missed now?
Oh, God knows. Typical Antonio. We'll come to Antonio's goal in a minute, but typical Antonio's given a free hit from 12 yards. And then we'll come on to his finish later on. But I mean, I just saw it the once right in front of us again. I thought clear penalty. I don't think there's any. I think they check penalty VAR automatically, don't they? But that's it. I mean, maybe it wasn't that long, but it seems to be taking a worryingly long time to come through. And but I mean, probably not. But I presume it was as clear as I thought it was.
Yeah, I think so. It was a clear trip, clearly accidental. You know, the lad was going for the ball, but he just caught four nails. He was just a bit too quick. And I mean, of course, seconds before that, Antonio really should have scored, shouldn't he, with the header?
Yeah, because he hit the bar, didn't he? Yeah, or hit the post, or you hit the metalwork anyway. I thought that the cross was. I mean, again, I only seen it once. The cross was sort of driven across, sort of thing, and it was a case of he was slightly behind him as well, maybe. And he did well to get something on it, but yeah, another inch the other way, and it didn't need to worry about penalties.
Yeah, exactly. It was a funny one because I think, you know, there was an incident a few moments before that, and I thought of you actually because I think it was the one real mistake that Atkinson made in the game, and it was that one where Bowen took a stud to the thigh. Again, incidental.
Yeah.
Again, clear foul.
I
but
thought
of course,
it was a foul, but again, I'm thinking, okay, it looks foul to me, but I've seen it for once. But you know, he was rubbing his just above his knee, wasn't he? Doing the old.
Yeah, I mean, it was a clear foul. There was, there was clearly contact there. You saw that in the replay, but you wouldn't have seen that in the ground. But I mean, you know, the point being, I guess that if we'd have got that free kick, we might not have scored the third goal anyway, because it kind of, you know, it led on from that. So interesting stuff. But so 3-2 up. There we are. Antonio missing the header, score, you know, missing the penalty. Do you feel a bit sorry for young Freddie Woodman today? I mean, he made his debut for Newcastle, saved a penalty, but still picked the ball out of his net on 4 occasions.
Yeah, I mean, he saved the penalty. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, neither goalkeeper had many sort of saves to make things bizarre, really. For I don't recall too many saves. I saw Fabianski get credited with one which did look like he touched, but maybe again you saw the replay, maybe he did one that sort of just clipped the bar on the way across to the first half. It's not really, but yeah, you feel a bit sorry for him, but not much.
There was 35 shots in the game.
Yeah.
And Newcastle only had 17 shots, 3 on target. 9 of ours were on target out of our 18, which I guess isn't too bad. But I guess it's an interesting debut. It's one he certainly won't forget anyway, the young kid. Yeah. But anyway, we moved on to the last goal of the day. What a finish that was. I mean, it was, again, superb work from, I think it was, I haven't seen the replay, admittedly, but I think it was Antonio who was involved in the build-up. The ball and he played it to Ben Rama, who found him again. And I mean, it's a fantastic finish, wasn't it? In the end,
it was a good flowing goal as well. I mean, that period, once we went 3-2 up, every time we sort of got the ball and came out from defence, it looked interesting. Fine finish. I mean, it's typical, isn't it? Yeah, got 12 yards knowing the goalkeeper, nothing, and then you finish like that. I think the accepted word is with aplomb. It's a designated word for finishing like that, isn't it? Yeah.
It absolutely was, and that was it. So 4-2 to West Ham, 3 points, and the perfect start to the season. Really, we couldn't really have. I suppose it would have been nice to have kept a clean sheet and not gone behind twice. But to come, we don't really have a good record up there, do we? So all in all, a great day.
I mean, it was looking like being one of those days today. I mean, my train when I left home was late. The train leaving King's Cross left late. Then we got to York and it stuck because somebody decided to pack a cigarette. The police got called, so we were stuck there for half an hour. So thankfully, I built in enough time to have a strip fight with me. Geordie mate comes to in a minute. But it was like everything was going wrong. I'm just thinking, it's going to be one of those days, isn't it?
What time did you get to the stadium? No,
I got about 5 minutes or 10 minutes before kick-off, something like that.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty tight call then, all in.
Well, only because I went the backers first. It wouldn't have been a tight call if I'd gone straight from the station. I've been there well in time, but I had half an hour with the lads.
Stuff. We've got to give him a mention. There was someone missing today who you'd normally be up there with.
Yeah. We'd have probably met around this spot, and the first thing we'd have done is shaken hands. It was just a tradition we always had. So Dave, he's probably turning in his grave, and it is not quite the same without him, because we'd have probably come up last night and made a weekend of it. But it's sad, but we'll raise a glass to him in the back in a minute.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. We have another one of our number who is or has been at the game today. Looks like he's in the car on just about to make his way home. Mr. Pink Palermo, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Graham. And we're actually in a car park that is probably going to take us the best part of a week to get out of. So, but that's not so bad when you thrashed the opposition the way that we did. I mean, I thought we dispatched Newcastle this afternoon with consummate ease. They couldn't live with us at all in the second half. I thought we were absolutely outstanding at times. Very good indeed today at times.
Did you guys meet up with each other today? Have you seen each other
yet?
No,
we didn't bump into each other. The first I've seen of it.
Yeah, I can promise you I am in Newcastle though, and it's
well, you can see in my background.
Yeah, well, we got there about 1 minute before kickoff, so
right.
Touch and go, some traffic issues on the way. But today I thought Ben Rama for most of the game was excellent. His decision making today was a marked improvement on last season. Rice in the second half, I mean, he's just added £10 million to his fee when he eventually goes, because he looked an absolute world beater today.
Yeah.
Fornals, I thought, gave a good, thoroughly professional performance. The shaky area, obviously, is the defence. And, little wonder that David Moyes is desperate to bring in at least one centre-back. And, my fear here is, Ogbonna today, clearly not fit, clearly struggling. And we desperately need a centre-back who can go straight into the first team, because better teams than Newcastle will punish us. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. What did you? I was going to ask you. I spoke to Gnome a few minutes ago. We were talking about penalty takers. I can't remember the last penalty that we actually scored. We seem to need a new penalty taker, don't we? Antonio. But again, we scored for the rebound, but a little bit lucky today, really, with that one.
Oh no, what we really need, Graham, is a proper striker. And I'm very simple on these things. Strikers, their job is to put the ball in the net. And a proper striker, I mean, there were a couple of times today where I felt we might have got goals had we had a player with a genuine striker's instinct on the field. There was one particularly in the second half where there's some lovely work down one flank, ball played right across the 6-yard line, and you think a striker's going to attack that ball and tap it in. Antonio held back at the back stick a bit, and the opportunity was lost. So when he took the spot kick today, we were never 100% confident. But again, hats off to Tommy Souček. In he comes, buries it. Thank you very much. And, it's nice to see different names on the score sheet, that's for sure. But I'd most like to see a striker stick 14 to 16 goals next to his name over the course of a season. And we just don't have that player at this point in time.
No, we certainly don't. We certainly need so. And I was going to say, Gnome's got to go, I think. But just before you do go, I was going to say we've got the good thing is, I suppose, on the transfer front, is that we've got 8 days now until the next game. We don't play Leicester until next Monday. Do you see someone coming in between now and then?
I've got no idea. I mean, every time I look, I see somebody who's like, that one's fallen through. The latest thing is that Lingard may want to come after all, because Man United don't figure him in their plans. I think that might be a function of the fact he didn't make the squad. How true that is, he may just not have been in the squad. Whether that really has affected him, I don't know. But we got to see him back, I think. But I've got no idea. I fear the worst when it comes to that. But,
Okay, well, I guess if we
Listen, I've got to go anyway.
Carry on like that, it can't be bad. But anyway, thanks for popping on, Gnome. You've obviously got to get off. You've got a long journey home now.
Yeah, well, I'm on at 7 o'clock, so I'm going to have a swift one or two with my mates. And I don't know if you saw, just as a last time, before we left the pub earlier on, they had people at the Tottenham Stadium, and they were right up on that sort of balcony by the cockroach, and we're all going, look, Don't jump. It's not that bad. We know it's Tottenham, but you know.
Kane left out of the squad today, of course, not playing against his team. Yeah,
it's not good enough. It's not good enough. You know, he's not been left out for transfer. He's been dropped. He's not good enough.
Not good. Just not good enough. No, we'll catch up in the week. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
No worries.
Safe journey home, buddy. See you soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah. Cheers, Gordon. Bye, mate.
Yeah, so Pinky, so 4-2. I mean, you know, I don't think anyone would have predicted that at the start of the game. But did you fear the worst at half time? You know, given how dreadful we'd been defensively.
No, I didn't actually. I as long as the margin didn't exceed a goal, I always felt that we'd be in the game and would go on and win it. And
okay,
I think we were all saying at half time, you know, we'll come out in the second half and we'll win this. And you know, I felt that. Yes, we were powder puff in defence. I mean, absolutely shocking. I mean, talk about, you know, getting the basics fundamentally wrong, allowing too many crosses in, you know, and players unmarked getting free headers. But you're not going to do that over 90 minutes. You're simply not. And, you know, when we got, you know, in possession of the ball, we just had too much going forward. I mean, the firepower we had there in terms of unlocking their defence. The Newcastle United supporters must have been sitting watching that going, you know, if only Mike Ashley could afford even one of those players that West Ham have got out there this afternoon. And of course, they can't because their owner won't spend any money either. But, you know, to be fair to our manager, he's made the best of what he's got out there today. And I just think whatever money is available, I suspect we'll be spending on a centre-back and rather than a centre-forward. I don't see a centre forward coming in. The only way I could possibly see one coming in, a proper striker, is if whoever we are going to sell Declan Rice to next summer, if we could make it part of the deal now that they loan us a striker and they get kind of like a first option. And that's a terrible thing to have to say when I'm saying we're almost touting our best player around just to raise the ability to get a strike on the field. But otherwise, I just don't think we've got the money. You know, I just don't see it because Tammy Abraham, 34 million quid.
Madness.
You know, I've travelled with some people today saying, well, you know, if we've got the money, let's spend it. And clearly we don't. It's that simple.
The good news is it's a little bit early, really, but we're fourth in the Premier League behind Manchester United, Chelsea and Liverpool. So I think we'd be quite happy if that was the top four in 37 games time, wouldn't we?
No, I've predicted we're winning a lot this year. What are you on about? Fourth. You know, David Moyes has been trying to shake that losing mentality out of the club's, you know, very fibre. Where fourth is deemed to be good enough. Yeah, top, my man. The top is where we've finished this season. No, I mean, yeah. Let's be honest. You know, in a number of seasons of recent vintage, we've been slow starters, haven't we? So today, to get off with an away win and a good away win, and one that I can tell you the supporters absolutely enjoyed thoroughly. Yeah. And one of the highlights of the day, let's not muck around. You know, 18 months of a COVID pandemic, you know, you feared the worst, that you'd be turning up and there'd be a lot of faces missing that you'd normally see. Yeah. But pretty much everyone you normally expect to see there today was there. Great turnout by our lot. And, you know, 3-2 away at Newcastle, 4-2 away rather at Newcastle. You take that all day long because away wins are almost count double in my view. Certainly in terms of support or enjoyment, they do. You know, picture that you're a Newcastle United supporter, you're living in Newcastle, and you've just lost at home. Start of the season. It's not looking good, is it?
Hard lines. There was. Do you know if Chaz managed to make it up there today? I know he was.
I'm told he did. I didn't see him myself, but I'm told he was at the game today. Yeah. So, wishing him all the very best there.
Absolutely echo that. Said Benrahma. Now, here's a player that you and I were both heavily critical of at points last season. We felt he was a little bit lightweight, too often made the wrong decision. You know, looked for the shot when there was a pass on. Magnificent today, wasn't he? And has been in pre-season.
Get ready for the laughter. At times today, he was sensational. Go on, lads, have a good laugh, because all the way up here, we were discussing the aforementioned young Mr. Benrahma. Yeah. And I was making all my usual stuff about can he really improve that much at his age and so forth. But I thought the overwhelming majority of the decisions that he took today were the right decisions. I felt there was maybe one occasion when he shot high, wide, and handsome. But other than that, I thought he looked to play the right ball on almost every occasion. And, you know, if you're going to sit online or what have you on one of these things and criticize players, you've got to be, you know, man enough to say, well, actually, on today's showing, we've signed a decent player there on today's showing. So hats off to him. I thought at times he was sensational today. And he really did look the part. So well played to him. Well played indeed.
Do you think there's something in the fact that Jesse Lingard not there this season, so essentially he's the main man now? It's all down to him. It's not as if Moyes can turn to someone on the bench. I know we've got Yarmolenko there and Lanzini, but you know, we're talking about a top quality replacement. Do you think that might have given him a sort of little bit of a psychological boost, perhaps going into the season?
Well, maybe it's an opportunity that, I mean, we never really know what's said in the dressing room beforehand. But who knows? Maybe David Moyes just had a quiet word and say, you know, you're on from the start. It's your opportunity to shine. Show me what you can do. Show the supporters who have travelled all this distance what you can do. And he didn't let us down. He was really very, very good in the main today. And, you know, other teams will be looking at and going, someone's done a good scouting job there. And, you know, I don't think you'll find anyone who's more critical of the way that Ben Rama ended up at our club than me. I was very critical on some of his defensive work last season.
Yeah.
But when we were just pouring forward on so many occasions, he looked a world beater. I suspect against stiffer opposition, he may struggle with some of the more mundane tasks that he may be asked to do. But that's for the manager to determine selection on the day and the tactics on the day. And if the player doesn't do what he wants, then you hook him. It's that simple.
I know you were a long way from the action up there in the gods at Newcastle, but did you get the sense that, you know, he's physically beefed up a little bit over the summer? Could you really tell from where you were sitting?
I didn't get that sense today, but one of the earlier games, I think it might have been at Celtic, actually passed comment that he had beefed up quite a bit, and not beefed up quite as much as I have over the last season and a half, but he's certainly beefed up. So I think it's fair to say that the Ben Rama fridge got a few visits as well over the last 18 months. But he looks a little bit stronger. And you know, but today is just the decision making. That's the thing that he was getting not consistently wrong, but too frequently wrong when he first arrived at the club. And today he got all the big calls right. And if he can build on that, then he will be an absolute superstar at the London Stadium, because he is exactly the sort of player a huge number of our supporters adore. You know, make something happen. And ultimately, if you make the difference, you get in the team. And that's the message the manager's got to give. You know, if you want to be in the starting 11 every week side, make the difference every week. Be the man that the supporters are going, he's on the ball and we're all out of our seats. That's what you pay your 30 million shots for.
Yeah, and obviously the kind of player that we love at West Ham, someone who can, you know, do those sort of things, has got lots of tricks and things in their locker. Declan Rice today seemed to start a little bit quietly, didn't he? Maybe a little bit of a hangover from the Euros, but I think we touched on it earlier, didn't we? Absolutely fantastic in the second half. What did you make of his overall performance?
This is going to sound a bit hideous, but I think he's double sexy when he's on the ball. I really do. I mean, he's a fabulous footballer to watch. When he is bringing the ball forward, it is like, this is what you want. This is what you pay your gate money for. A fantastic young English player doing it for West Ham United and looking every bit that he would slot into any team, Man City, Man United, you know, any of those clubs that are just moneyed and bankrolled by rich billionaires and all the rest of it. But we've got him at West Ham United, and every single minute he's on the pitch wearing a West Ham United shirt, we should cherish every single minute, because he's a fabulous footballer. Fabulous.
Yeah, there was that one moment, wasn't there, deep into the second half where he nicked it and took the ball just inside our half. And then went on that fabulous sort of 50-yard run and I think laid the ball over the top in the end. But I think that's kind of indicative of what you're saying. I mean, it was he had cramp, didn't he, as well at one point? I think he went down for a few minutes. It's the
sort of lung bursting run that a certain Billy Bonds used to do back in the day when we're actually struggling against someone or whoever it was, some non-entities from somewhere, and Bonds to try and lift the spirits of the whole team would carry the ball 50 yards upfield, and just opposition players would bounce off. And that's the sort of thing that Declan Rice brings to the team. And it's not just the fact that he's carried it forward, it's the belief and the actual confidence it gives to every player around him. So almost to the point where you start to believe if we've got Rice in the team, we can beat anyone. And that's priceless in a footballer. It really is. And I thought he was very, very good in the second half today. I mean, we've got to bear in mind, I think he had about an hour off in the summer, didn't he? You know, he and it's no coincidence that the Euros final, when Rice went off, that's when the hope kind of died. It's not a coincidence or that sort of thing. Top draw player, top draw player.
Yeah, magnificent. So absolutely fantastic. For those of you who have just joined us in the last few minutes, we are speaking to the Pink Palermo. He's coming live and direct from just outside an NCP car park. It looks now. I can see sky through the sunroof rather than concrete. So I guess you must be snaking your way back up towards the exit roads anyway.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a hell of a queue to get out of Newcastle, which isn't because there's been a game of football today. I think there's just generally a hell of a queue to get out of Newcastle. So we're kind of like at the back of the queue, but yeah, hopefully we'll meander our way, make the A1 and tootle down the road. And I've got the rare luxury today of being chauffeured by a good friend of mine who wishes to remain anonymous. And I can understand that. And to be fair, he's got a face that would scare a police horse. So I won't be putting him on camera. That's for sure.
Well, kudos to your anonymous driver anyway for allowing you to do this on the way home. Quick word about Newcastle, Pinky. What did you make of them today? I mean, they got off to a stormer, didn't they? That man again, Callum Wilson. Every time we play him, it's just almost, and Sam Maximan was absolutely superb for the first goal and pretty much for the rest of the game. But do you think they're in trouble this year?
Yeah, because what a team needs more than anything is heart, the will to win, the desire, the hunger, the commitment, where players will run for each other. But as soon as we got the second goal back and then went ahead, there was only ever going to be one winner in that game because one team wants it more than the other. And Newcastle, I'm afraid, their heads dropped really quite quickly when we went ahead. And that's not a good sign. And you kind of got the impression that their supporters were leaving the ground with the phrase "long, hard season," going through their minds. And, to be fair, we've been there often enough where you've had a bad reversal at the start of the season. But Newcastle, bearing in mind, they took 6 points off us last year from memory. Straightforwardly, if you were benchmarking, if you're Steve Bruce, you're looking at that going, I'm already behind where I was last year. And all of his players will know that. And it doesn't matter what he says about never look at the league table till October, lads, and all that kind of stuff. That's in their heads. They beat us twice last year, and we've just utterly thrashed them, giving them absolute battering at their place. And being no doubt, 6 or 7 would not have flattered us today. We battered them in the second half.
Yeah, we certainly did. Do you has that given you renewed confidence in terms of what West Ham could do this season? I mean, we know that we've got those extra games. We've got that extra worry about the Thursday night league, as Preview Percy refers to it. The 6 extra games, no extra players coming in. In fact, I think we're lighter, aren't we, as a squad than we were at this point last season because we've lost Haller and Balbuena and Lingard came in and went again. So I guess we're shorter, but with more games to play. What do you see this? I mean, that really was almost like last season. We hadn't had a pre-season. It was almost like we continued from where we left off, wasn't it? In some way, the verve and spirit that we played with, the counter-attacking and the energy in this side. There isn't a lot of backup there, but what do you think that does for West Ham in terms of where we can finish this season? Has it sort of made you feel a little bit more confident than perhaps you were at the start of the day?
Not really, because I think ultimately, the very best players in our squad, we're at the Euros. So if you go all the way back to Project Restart and there's not been an awful lot of rest for quite a few of our players. Yeah. The small squad and, a number of them are putting an awful lot of miles in their legs in a relatively short number of years now. And some of these players, you'll see it in years to come, you know, players that you might think have been able to go on to 31, 32, they'll get to 30, and then suddenly we realise they're completely gassed. So I think, you know, in terms of the squad depth, it is going to come back to haunt us. Of that, I've got no doubt. You know, sometimes it is a case of just needing bodies, but if you look who, you know, the fact the manager turned to Yarmo to come on as a late sub today, and he's a player who I think most supporters would see us ship out relatively soon. And you know, so he doesn't have a lot of options that you say he'd want to start Premier League games with. So you could almost name your League Cup side now, and it will be captained by Mark Noble. That much I am certain of. And it's going to be, you know, the pensioners and the kids in the League Cup. I hope we take the Europa Cup seriously, because it doesn't matter whether or not it's worth £1 million, 2 million, or 5 million. It's a relatively prestigious competition that we have worked really hard to get to. And our players, never mind the supporters, our players deserve the opportunity to progress at it as far as they can. So I hope we take it seriously. But I think the League Cup's going to be a complete write-off. I mean, obviously, a club like Arsenal join it at the round before us, don't they? So you know, that's a bit of good news that you know, we're now amongst that group of big clubs that don't join it to the extra round. We will be thin on the ground come February time. The good news is the players that we've got, your Součeks, your Soufals, your Rices, your Fornals, thus far they've shown a great ability to stay fit. So if we've got nothing else right in our recruitment, we've signed players that have got the ability to avoid nasty injuries, stay fit, and if in the main engine of your team you've got that, you've got something. But I do fear we'll run out of legs come springtime.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as well that nearly all of those players that you just mentioned there, they're all coming into their prime as well, aren't they? They're all 26, 27. Declan Rice, of course, still only 22, but Fornal, Souček, you know, those sort of players, they're absolutely in their prime. Jarrod Bowen, another great example. So it should bode well anyway for the future. But I mean, you know, sort of looking into the future, we spoke briefly a few moments ago about a defender probably being the priority, a central defender in terms of what we need. What do you think we need overall to be in a position to attack the Europa League and the Premier League this year?
Oh,
how
crikey.
many more players?
We need two centre backs. I think a full back, 2 centre midfields, and 2 strikers. If we wanted to take both competitions very, very seriously, it's that. And quite simply, we don't have the money. So what would I settle for as a patch up? 1 centre back, 1 centre midfield, 1 striker. As an absolute minimum, somehow the chairman has got to find the money. I don't care what he's got to do. I mean, ask his missus to sell off her jewellery, whatever it may be. He's got to find the money. Yeah. You know, I'd urge every West Ham United supporter to go down to Ann Summers and buy something in the shop if need be. But we need the money to go and get a player, because I think this manager has proven he's spent wisely in the main on the money he has spent.
Yeah.
He needs to be given some money so he can go and buy some more players, because if we want to try and hang on to Declan Rice, you have to be able to say to him, Declan, look, we know there are other clubs sniffing around for you and all the rest of it, but you could be in the Champions League at West Ham United. But we're only ever going to do that if we get better players for him to play with week in, week out.
Yeah.
And if we don't invest in those players, you may as well just say, well, every time we get a decent player, we'll knock him out for whatever we can, because the players want to play in the senior competitions as well.
Yeah.
And you know, you have to invest in this game every single year. The year you don't, your club goes backwards. And we see it time after time. That's what happens. Clubs that don't invest go backwards. They don't stand still, they go backwards. And that's the fear.
Okay. Well, I mean, talking of investment, that leads us nicely on to something else I wanted to ask you about. And we've not had the opportunity to discuss this yet because it's only arisen in the last few weeks. PAI Capital want to buy West Ham United Football Club, want to get rid of David Sullivan. It looks like the Cockneys versus the Azerbaijanis and in terms of this one. They've made some very interesting moves so far in terms of their PR. I'm not sure it's been a huge success. But what's your view on their bid? Do you think they're likely to do it? First of all, do you think they're likely to be able to buy? Do you think Sullivan will sell? And also, do you think they'll be good for the long term of West Ham United?
First question first. No, I don't think David Sullivan's going to sell to these people.
Okay.
I have to say I'm not impressed with the way they've approached things. It comes across as a little bit of amateur hour, dare I say it. They recognise within their setup that the stadium issue has got to be resolved. Mm-hmm. And all this nonsense with people that do long jump and all the rest of it for 2 days a year, and a 400-meter dash and what have you, having that stadium, and they're losing money out of it as well. So it's not good for British athletics overall. Yep. They need to be booted out of there, and at least PAI Capital understand that essential truth has got to be addressed. Okay. The problem I've got with them is you've got a almost like people who are in the technical know about they're the things to resolve. That's your Phil Beards and what have you. Mm-hmm. But it's where's the money coming from to actually do something with the club or the stadium when you've done that? And how credible is that when their press releases really haven't even been properly proofread to be published? And you're thinking, how can you have any credibility that you are going to buy any kind of commercial organisation for hundreds of millions of pounds when you've got basic grammatical errors and so forth in PR statements? Not being funny, that doesn't bode well for our future. If that's the level of competence they're going to bring to a takeover, does that sound like people who would have the capability to actually run a football club? And as much as I think our current ownership, their time has come and gone, and they need to set a realistic price for their shares and leave. And, you were in the room when I made that statement to the vice chair, 3 years ago now. And my position on that hasn't changed. But I think we need to be mindful that as much as we want those individuals away from West Ham United, I would not in any way, shape or form, based on what we have heard and seen of PAI Capital at this stage, offer any form of endorsement for them to be new owners. So I'm clear that we need to change ownership. Yeah, absolutely on board with that. But I'm not sure that these people, on the basis of what we've seen so far, are the ones to actually do it, because I just question their competence. They don't look very professional.
Of course, there is a huge GSB out movement, and it seems to be for a lot of those fans that it's anyone but GSB. Did you get any sense of where the fan base is with that from the ground today? Was there any talk of it, in the stands at all?
Yeah, I mean there were a couple of rounds of the Golden Sully song, and again, I think where Hammers United got it right and have got it right to date is keeping any and all protests outside of the ground, because ultimately we're all West Ham United supporters. I mean, I've not come 300 miles up the road today to boo my own team. You do it to cheer the team on, and you want the players to hear you cheering them on. Okay, but there were some frustrated calls today, and you understand that when you go a goal down against Newcastle. When you haven't bought a single player in what's going to be hopefully a 55, 60 game campaign ahead of you. So you can understand why supporters are getting frustrated. The chairman, of course, is going to say, well, there is money available, but the manager won't spend it. Yeah. The manager is being very cautious, knowing that the funds, whatever they are very limited. And, managers live or die in terms of reputation by their signings. And thus far, you know, in Soufal and Souček, you know, David Moyes has signed a couple of players that we would make money on if we were to sell them tomorrow. There's not too many signings in recent years you'd be able to say that about. I think Pablo Fornals, we paid top dollar for. I think he's a good player, but I'm not sure we'd make much money from. And of course, he was a Pellegrini signing. But a few of the others have cost us an absolute arm and a leg to offload. You know, Pellegrini's reputation got trashed because of it. And I think David Moyes has been very careful that he doesn't want to go the same way. He's basically taking a view, if I've only got, whether it's 20 or 30 million pounds to spend, I need to spend it wisely. And based on what I saw today, number one priority, no ifs, buts or maybes, centre back. Yeah, definitely. I think most people would go along with that. I mean, we know, or we hear through the grapevine that Jesse Lingard is quite keen to come back and resurrect his career down here. We know David Moyes would you know, snap your arm off to have him back. What do you think about that? I mean, you know, we spoke about Ben Rama is beginning to emerge as a genuine Premier League player now. Would you take Lingard back? I'd like to hear Jesse Lingard come out and very publicly say, I'd like to move. I'd like him to put in a transfer request at Manchester United, and I'd like him to make it very obvious that the only club he really wants to join is West Ham United. Because I'll tell you something, the Tottenham Hotspur captain has actually chucked it all away at Tottenham Hotspur to force a move to Manchester City. Yeah. Okay. Jesse Lingard's got a year left on his deal, can't get a game at Old Trafford, and if he wants to come and play for West Ham United, my opinion, he needs to actually start saying it very. Let's not be, you know, we hang on, and then at the death, the player doesn't come. You know, if he wants to come and play for West Ham, come out and say it. Fair enough. Fair enough. Good stuff. We're going to wrap up there, buddy, because I'm sure your phone battery is probably being eaten away as we speak. We'll end as we do traditionally. Say traditionally, as we've done for the last 18 months anyway, while we were all sat at home in our various in front of our various PCs and laptops. Next game, Leicester, going to be a tough one. Got off to a decent start, beat Wolves yesterday 1-0, but you know, this is really the first big test for us, isn't it? Today was a tough one. We're away from home in front of a capacity crowd, full house, always noisy lot up there. But you know, this is a team really who are one of our peers now, and probably someone who we're looking up to and trying to kind of emulate. How do you see this one going? I think at home to them, I think it's a game we should target to win for absolute definite. You know, in front of our home support. I'd like to see us unsettle them a little bit by maybe a cheeky little bid for James Maddison, something like that, and just because I don't think he's the happiest player in their crew at the minute. Yep. So I think maybe a little bit of gains there. Vardy obviously is their main threat and will remain so till he retires, I guess. And for my money, shackle Vardy, and I think we've got a very good chance of picking up all 3 points. I think Leicester are a decent club. I think they've got a pretty good man. I think we might have lost. Manager. No, you know, that seems to get the best out of what he does. Not quite forgive and forget, frustration, and that allowed them to escape an awful lot of debt that West Ham United and other clubs have done the honourable thing and kept paying off. Indeed. And so as much as I can say Leicester City are a decent team now, they're a bit of the naughty crew in the sense of they've used UK company law to escape their creditors. And who knows, would they ever have won the league had they not done that? I'm not so sure they would have. So I hope we beat them, if for no other reason than we pay our bills and they don't. Perfect. Lovely way to end. Well, look, Pinky, thank you very much for joining us on the way home. It's been a wonderful day, isn't it, for West Ham? It's I'm sure it's one of those away trips that you'll remember for years to come. Looking back, it's not often that, you know, we go to Newcastle and come away with a result, and we've certainly done that today, haven't we? Yeah, and you know what? You know, for all not being able to get to a game for a year and a half, whatever, certainly an away game. What a lovely day for of our supporters, and what thing it was to see so many people, and you kind of was too many empty chairs, so to speak, but it looked like pretty much everyone was there, present and attending, and hats off to everyone that travelled, and a great result by David Moyes' lads today. So come on, you Irons, and we are going to win everything this year because we are massive.
I thought I was going to have to bring the bleeper out for a second there, but
no. It's a family show.
Well, look,
it's a family show.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Well, look, thank you. As I say, thank you, Pinky, for joining us. Have a very, very safe journey home. I know it's going to be a long one, 5 hours or however long it's going to take you from there. But take it easy and make sure you're back for next week, and we can do it all again for Leicester. My apologies for no Eyes Up Mother Brown today. Unfortunately, DL had to pull out at the last minute, so I couldn't really be bothered to sit there and talk to you for 2 hours, or try it anyway on my own. That would have been a nightmare anyway. But fortunately, we got the post-match review in, so all isn't lost anyway. We shall be back next week for Leicester, hopefully, possibly even getting Pinky and Gnome live from the stadium, if possible, at some point during the stadium. But until then, what a fantastic start it's been for the Hammers. 4-2 win at Newcastle United today. 4th in the Premier League. Not that it matters. We're only one game in, but it's nice to be in the top end, isn't it, at the start? And the perfect start, really. Hopefully, who knows? You never know. We might have another player or two in by this time next week. All right, maybe that's pushing it a bit too far, but you never know. You never know. Thanks for joining us on the live chat. Thanks again to Pinky and the team, and we'll see you all next week. Until then,